Look, check this out. Опа! X200 Ultra. New 2025 smartphone from Vivo. It has objectively the most advanced camera hardware on the market right now. And has the largest camera bump possible. It is bigger than some slim profile smartphones. But of course, it does not make it impossible to handle. If you have never experienced phones with large camera bump, it won't fall back from your hand. Even more, it will naturally rest behind your fingers, and you can help with grip by using your fingers. It is more comparable to X200 Pro with new flat screen. Compared to 2024 X100 Ultra, it is completely different device. No more waterfall, sleek round profile. I'm a big fan of waterfall screens, but most people will prefer new body, I guess. It does not have anything brand new in terms of design. No new programmable buttons, no second set of up and down buttons to assign brightness control. But it has brand new shutter button. You can zoom in and out by sliding and take a shot by pressing. It works only in landscape orientation. But I find it useless. I do not understand why companies are not getting it. You need to apply lots of pressure to press it down. It will 100% guarantee the blurry low light image. Phone moves up and down too much when pressing. I do not like it at all. It is more convenient to just use the screen. Unfortunately, that is it. Only shutter button. I cannot find any 3.5 audio connector with good amplifiers for microphones and audio systems. I wonder for how long modern industry will test the anger of humans, or should we just play pretend games? For me, industry standard connection is a must in 2025 and provides convenience and more luxurious experience. Presence of good industry standard port gives any person an option for all microphones and audio systems. While absence of audio ports give no choice at all. Why only Sony Xperia smartphones do this? Crazy! No memory expansion, no SD card slots. Hello? 256 gigs are not impressive in 2025 and must go stock with any budget $200 phones. Where are 2 terabytes, 4 terabytes phones? Backplate is glued completely, and you cannot replace battery without professional technician. Oh my, Overlord! Looks like another year with total BS from all manufacturers. Speaking about all other manufacturers, if you have not already, subscribe not to miss out full in-depth battle between the best camera phones on the market. We will see the clash of titans and know who is the best for everyday use, which one have best speakers, who is the best camera for photo and video, and whatnot. Also, there is a street photography video out for this Vivo X200 Ultra, where I walk around the streets of one of the cities of planet Earth and take photos and videos on it. I will repeat, street photography video has examples of footage filmed on exactly this phone. I filmed that video by using Vivo, if you want to know more of how the video quality looks. OS and features. It runs Origin OS 5, and what I want to say, it is one of the best looking UI in terms of user experience. Tons of cool and small, but at the same time very useful features. I'm using X100 Ultra 2024 phone as my main device for more than a year, and I feel like I will miss it a lot if I ever for some reason decide to change device. Everything is interactive, you can customize lots of stuff, it has best one-hand mode in the game, and overall I love it. I have Origin OS overview, as well as Origin OS 4 versus OS 5 tour, if you're interested in it. By the way, I have such guide and tour for almost every modern system. But of course, Ultra is not a global ROM device. US versus China, sanctions and restrictions and all kind of jazz. But for the most part, it only affects Google Assistant and Gemini Assistant. Overall, it feels like global device. The list of supported languages is huge. It has all physical antenna bands for connection and network. Now it has support for car assistant when you connect it to your vehicle. It has some powerful so-called AI features, like assistant and such. But the whole chunk of it is China only. It does not understand languages, and international languages such as Russian, English and Spanish, and so on do nothing. I really wish they go all in for international multi-language support. Introduce DeepSeek integration as well as offline machine learning, and text to images and images to images stable diffusion creation. Maybe even images to video. At the moment only laptop and personal computers can offer such flexible functionality, and it is the reason why I personally got tired of both Android and iOS from Apple. I made tons of stable diffusion benchmarks for laptops. Can't wait to show you some results. I do not care that this phone does not have Google Assistant. Even more, I want to completely de-Google my life. But I wish I could use all these new cool fancy features. And maybe someday I can see real, true flexible OS on a smartphone devices, such as Linux Mobile with full 100% desktop mode, and SteamOS support for gaming. Or maybe Windows on ARM phone, that I can use for its full potential, could connect it for 27 or 32-inch home monitors, with all serious programs for the file management, office, architecture, engineering, 3D modeling, video editing, so on and on. And not get the restrictions and bottlenecks from dying old dinosaurs such as Android or iOS. Charging speed is fast? Oh, is it? It has improved battery capacity, but it has charged to 33% from depletion for only 23 minutes? Really? 50% was 33 minutes? What? And got full 100% at 1 hour and 4 minutes. But it is not the end. Vivo has some battery calibration or something, after which it holds the last 1% for longer than other devices. Electric current stopped 16 minutes later. Almost 1.5 hours to get notification to remove the plug. I am not very impressed, to say the least. After more than 1 year of use, X100 Ultra lost 3% of battery health. So I'm not very impressed with numbers I see. Thanks that it is not longer, because I do not even want to see anything more for a high-end device. 2 hours plus is a horse pile in 2025. Battery life is actually quite solid. It is a real big improvement from what I can tell. Here I tried to make some stress tests both for regular use with Wi-Fi, GPS and Bluetooth module turned on, with screen brightness set to max. And second, battery saver with everything off and screen set to 50% of illumination. Here what we have? It loses only 1–2% in simple tasks such as video recording and playback, and 12–13% during 20 minutes of extensive 3D workload. Switching to battery saver gives slight boost, but nothing major. In the end, it left me with 72% battery life, which is solid. From my tests, only Honor is still left unbeaten. But more on that in the full Android battle in the next video. Do not take it as a call for action, keep in mind that use cases can be completely different. Using geolocation, constant gaming or 10+ apps opened at the same time that use SIM card data, your results may vary drastically. Benchmark and powers. I won't read boring spec list. It is the best that Vivo can offer. New Snapdragon 8 Gen Elite. It is pretty powerful, one of the best among other 2025 phones, except one major flaw. On the screen you can see some FPS in 3D applications. Especially I have noticed improvements in ray tracing. It really can rival some integrated GPU on laptops. 45+ FPS in Solar Bay is insane, considering the small form factor. The only problem is software handicap from Android. What is the point of all these powers that are on par with laptops, if you cannot utilize it? Except some mobile gaming. I really wish for real competitor for outdated iOS and Android, something like Linux or Windows on ARM phone. I run all the tests in Eco, Balanced and Turbo modes, and here what I have noticed. There is no noticeable performance hit when you set it in Turbo, and even in Balanced. For the most part, it makes it more hot, harms performance from throttling, and thus is almost all the time even worse than Eco mode. I see no reason to use it in Turbo, which is not very logical and makes not much sense. But it is what it is. And here is the biggest flaw. Throttlings. It falls very hard. Comparing to even 2024 X100 Ultra, the stability is very bad. You can see that in some occasions the difference in performance after some time is more than 50%. Of course, it does not have dedicated fan for cooling, but still, why it has to be like this? It feels like turbo and balanced modes need serious tweaks for less power and more stable performance, because right now it feels like a total mess. Is it very important? For me, considering that it is still an Android walkie-talkie, I do not think so, because this OS won't give you an opportunity to utilize even 20% of what you are paying for in terms of real-life work tasks, except mobile, cache grab, gaming and emulations, but I still wish for better tuning. And what about temperatures during these tasks? During normal conditions, it is barely warm. A very nice performance compared to other devices. During 20-minute stress test, somewhere around 15th minute, hotspot is 49 Celsius. Sites where palms rest are 43 degrees. Actually, in real life it feels more comfortable than some other devices. But definitely you can feel it. Compared to last gen, it is big improvement, full 10 degrees during stress. But of course, keep in mind, we are getting laptops powers inside small form factor, without any fan or dedicated cooling, it is expected. But I still feel like that normal and eco modes need serious tweaks for less performance, and thus cooler temperatures. Right now it is total joke. Screen is very bright and colorful. It was very good last year. I have nothing to add to it. Now it is completely new. Instead of cursed waterfall, it is flat. You can apply protection glass if you want, without headaches, and without glue. It has pre-applied hydrogel film from the factory, by the way. I love waterfall curved ones, but will accept this one also. My eyes do not bleed from OLED flickering like on Samsung and Sony, because Vivo actually understands that healthcare is a must, and spending lots of time near this modern digital plague in the face of smartphones can lead to potential vision problems of humanoids. I love that it is addressed. Audio and speakers. No, it is heavily underlooked aspect of modern devices. Good speakers. It is important not only for music, but modern YouTube addiction for videos. You can listen for better voice, ambience, more sounds. And not only that, voice calls are also affected by it. The simple tasks such as calling can be ruined just because of bad speakers. What is the point of advertising diminishing returns on already good screens and making a big deal out of it if audio is bad? But bad news here, and it is one of the biggest aspects that I do not like in Vivo phones. And X200 Ultra has brought it to the new lows. Audio is very bad. It is one of the, if not the worst audio that you can get inside a smartphone. How ugly it is? Let's find out and have a quick listen. Against the best sound on the market that Honor provides. And last year, X100 Ultra.
The stars of fate, yeah, hypnotizing minds of sleepers and guilty, yeah, forever and ever, till the end of time. Eternal
Sound had become noticeably louder on the max volume, but it is closed, it is muddy, feels like $150 budget old radio inside a 1000 plus euros premium device. Just why? I gave it a 2 stars, but I really thought about lowering it to 1.5. But even X100 Ultra last year was not very impressive, but it is a very huge downgrade. Vivo ignores audio year after year after year. I do not understand why they ignore good audio. So, audio is a total waste opportunity and let down. I expected it to be not the best, but not to become the lowest bottom. Why Huawei and Honor can do it, but Vivo not? Let's talk about cameras. It is a very sad story. Not because camera hardware is bad. It is actually completely opposite. It is the best and most technological smartphone, with the first 1.3-inch sensor with 35mm optical lens, with very sharp and crystal clear glass. First on the market, largest 1/1.3-inch ultra-wide, and new optical scheme for last year's breakthrough, with the largest telephoto lens that ever existed inside small smartphone body. It is the reason why camera bump is so big that you can hold the phone on it like a grip. The sad story here is a software that makes all the efforts to push industry forward almost useless. But we will talk about it after. Let's see what we can expect from these lenses. First of all, 14mm lens for more field of view to capture almost everything around you, getting dramatic aerial shots. It can give unique look for fun and artistic choice, or capture the whole room in one frame. It provides background separation that no other smartphone on the market can provide. The physical problem with this lens is very noticeable barrel distortion, and almost fisheye lens like heavy distortions and bending on sides. I guess there is a challenge to make ultra-wide 14mm in 1/1.3-inch size sensor, and cram it inside camera bump and still make it reasonable for everyday use. Why? Because perspective distortions and straight lines on the sides of the frame require optically correct glass that becomes larger and larger the better the corrections are, and the larger the lens will be. It is the same logic and challenge that mirrorless and DSLR camera manufacturers face in the lens engineering. People want lenses to be small and compact, while still being good. But some compromises needed to be done. The solution is to correct the image after on post with digital perspective correction that straightens the lines and removes any bendings on side. As a drawback, you lose some parts of the image because sides needs to be cut down by cropping. Almost all modern 1.8 and 2.8 compact mirrorless lenses has this compromise. All companies, and particularly Canon company, goes full unhinged and relies strictly on digital corrections. Almost all the modern RF lenses, even the most expensive ones that cost $2,000–3,000, have perspective distortions that require corrections. And more, quotes, budget lenses, in commerce of course, that cost $1,000, have even heavy darkening and vignette on sides. So it is common practice to have smaller lens with distortions that will simply be corrected in post or inside the camera after you take a shot. It is understandable, but the problems that I faced in some programs and third-party apps, you will just simply get uncorrected, distorted, ultra-wide photo and video with round bended sides. And there is nothing you can do about it. But let's not get gloom and doom. Actually, a light gathering abilities, color gradients, makes it very unique. Now, instead of 23mm, we have 35mm optical one. It is not 1 inch, but the glass itself makes it not only usable, but actually good. 35mm is the most versatile focal distance and gives you field of view without almost any perspective distortions on sides. You can shoot anything and almost anywhere. You can digitally crop 1.5x times up to 50mm and expect solid performance. Portraits, landscapes, city, you name it, it all can be done with 35mm. But in tight places you can feel some limitations. 35mm requires couple steps back to feel more comfortable. 85mm telephoto lens, one of the best focal distances for portraits of humans. It has nice macro capabilities for filming small objects or parts of the body. It brings your backgrounds closer to your foreground, compressing the shot and giving surreal feelings. 85mm is the first milestone and middle ground between not unwrapping a face flat and preserving some facial narrow characteristics. So your portraits will have a natural look, but you need to play around to understand who will like themselves in what situations. 85mm can make or break the portraits for people with wide or narrow slim face. So you can use different focal lenses to zoom in more and more. Or you can go back yourself and play around with compression, while your subject will have the same size in your shot. Two different but equally important ways of using your lenses. Before we go any further, I want to quickly mention Camera app. It is the best out there, period, and feature-rich, like you have never seen before. Tons of buttons, options, tweaks. It has powerful computational RAW that is called Super RAW. You can customize sharpness, contrast, saturation, not just in Pro mode, but straight up inside Automatic Basic Photo tab. There is HDR on and off switch. You can have a pre-customized AI online feature that is improved with more options this year. After you take a shot, it can transform your image into the time of day. Night, morning, midday, sunset. All seasons of the year. From winter and autumn to summer blossom and green spring. And some creative shots. Cyber city with neons and whatnot. It has some problems here and there, but it is very, super, ultra duper uber fun. Imagine the future of photography that will in real time transform your reality. Dragon in the sky? No problem. Magic knights and wizards? Here we go. Endless variants and possibilities. And not only on photo, but video to video transformations in quick point and shoot, easy pre-customized user-friendly solution that is built inside the smartphone. There are tons and tons of features that I simply cannot talk about in this small review. But there are some downsides that I want to talk about, that I am upset about. First of all, I'm not a big fan of automatic scene detection, and Vivo made a new landscape mode instead of night mode, and combined it with lots of other modes that used to be separate standalone ones. It can be good, but also bad at the same time, because we lost some buttons and need to realize that phone will understand it. Just why? Why, for example, tripod button appears only when phone is rock solid on a tripod? Why can't I turn it on and off all the time, like for example on Oppo? If tripod is clumsy and wind is blowing, tripod button will keep on appearing and disappearing on the screen. If you accidentally touch the phone, button will disappear. So annoying. Astrophotography button have disappeared completely. Why? You need to pray that phone understands that you want to capture stars. But astrophotography of our celestial sphere is complicated scenario. Phone needs to apply certain amount of specific curve and contrast, remove glow and haze, light pollution with special, dedicated algorithms. It needs to understand what white dot is, a star or dead pixel or noise on sensor. I want to be sure that phone makes everything possible to give me a shot that I want in the exact scenarios that I want. In other words, I want full manual control, even over automatic features. Give me more modes and more buttons that are all the time present on the screen. Why do I have to play hide and seek? In some scenarios, 2024 X100 Ultra in dedicated Astro mode absolutely demolishes 2025 X200 Ultra that has no dedicated Astro modes whatsoever, only automatic robotic scene detection. Next, this is big one. Humanistic street photography. It lost HDR button. Why? On 2024 X100 Ultra, I could turn HDR on and off, and with HDR, I could just control the exposure compensations, or manually set needed shutter speed, and this way I could choose the look of the shot. Will it be bright? Will it have dark moody shadows? Or will it be in the middle, not burnt and overexposed, and not dark underexposed? And I will still preserve all the shadows and highlights to my liking. And most importantly, HDR uses multiple shot stitchings, making the image from small smartphone sensor more detailed and alive, closing a gap between large mirrorless modern cameras. Now the same as X200 Pro, X200 Ultra lacks any HDR buttons in the Humanistic strict photography. Again, I want an answer. Why? Because of problems? Extensive noise? Why do S-RAW in Pro mode has HDR with the same manual shutter control? To simulate X100 Ultra experience, I need to go into the Pro mode, choose S-RAW in normal resolution. But this way I will have RAW file plus JPEG. Either I need to delete RAW file each time manually, which is annoying, or delete JPEG and edit RAW file in editing software, which is even more annoying. What is the point of this Humanistic street photography mode then, if it lost any HDR? And in some occasions images will straight up look ugly and cheap, like on $150 phone. I simply do not understand the logic behind it. I see no point in ever using Humanistic street mode in this state, but it is what it is. We will talk about photos more in depth further. I want to see video performance. Last year, Vivo had very good video capabilities, but even the best automatic mode is unfortunately complete garbage compared to log video tweaked by professional cinematographers and technicians who know what the heck they are doing. 2024 X100 Ultra had the best Pro video mode, so this brand new X200 Ultra takes it even further. It still has log footage. It is 10-bit 420 subsampling, but for some reason shows Rec 709 color gamut in the metadata, which looks like not the case, and it is closer to more white gamuts, like Rec 2020 or larger. But whatever. Vivo's provided LUT is total garbage, and I made my own. And what I want to say, it looks very nice. On Vivo X200 Pro, I completely disliked it. It was very noisy even during daylight. But now either it has more clever computational magic, because this log is a computational log, or else. But I do not see any ugly and unfixable noise patterns to the same extent as X200 Pro. Noise reduction cannot be turned off. Even if you press the button in the settings, it will still reduce noise heavily. But I am very impressed, to the point that I can truly say that I see almost no reason to use third-party apps to fix video. It is that good. You can turn digital step on and off to get more field of view. It works with all lenses, unfortunately only up to 4K 60 fps. 4K 120 fps and 1080p 240 fps do not have it. Let's try to film something with it. stabilization is very solid. Video is so useful on this phone, and I enjoyed it. You can do so much with it. Unfortunately, slow motion beyond 120 fps is bad. Does not have pre-shoot mode for Time Machine where it records previous second in the buffer. No ultra slow motion options, 2K fps in burst. I am very disappointed in the slow motion department. It is very bad and lacks features and modes. I tried to check third-party app support. By the way, what I am showing you in these G-Gams, Motion Cams or MC Pro 24 fps does not mean that it only works in filmic apps, but in all third-party apps, such as Instagram, WhatsApp, Telegram and others. Nothing have changed. Camera API works identical to X100 Ultra. It has 32-bit float audio, 10-bit video, optical stave, but no digital. Boring stuff. If you take control in your own hands, expect a lot better video, especially in the controlled lighting conditions. But good news, that Vivo lock is as good as third-party app lock, and it has it even in automatic mode and easy to use, if you avoid Vivo LUT. But I wish you could burn in the LUT. It will lead to no post-processing work, but now it requires a video editing software. That is a bummer. Who will be the first smartphone who will give us burn-in LUTs, like on Panasonic Lumix and Sony FX cameras? Let's talk about last year's problems. But this time it will be completely different, because compared to all other phones, Vivo X100 Ultra had the least amount of problems, was very good in all scenarios with predictable and stable results. I have declared it as a best camera phone and camera king that holds the crown. Instead of talking about what was fixed, we unfortunately will talk about what went wrong, because it is the software problems that I was talking about previously in this video that ruins and utterly destroys all the innovations and bold brave moves from Vivo and these phones' most advanced and technological hardware. Unhinged, ugly and faked, overprocessed computations. I want to show you why I cannot say that this phone is the best camera phone now, and I simply just cannot give it the first place. Also, I will tell you how to try and mitigate and fix these problems to some extent, and will give my personal view and suggestions to Vivo team how to fix it. Extensive amounts of noise reduction, especially on ultra-wide, especially on Luma channel. Luma noise is black and white grains, like specks of dust on the image. Second type is color noise. It is red, blue and green channels that has the same grains. It is a lot more easy to clean red, blue and green noise, because there are 3 channels and it is easy to predict it. But Luma black and white noise is completely different. It is very hard to get rid of it. And even on the latest and greatest full-frame cameras, you will get spiral distortions if you will aggressively try to remove Luma noise. And here we have exactly this. Tons of spiral and weird ugly distortions as the result of extensive noise reduction. All phones have this, but it is the first time I see this much level of it, especially in the shadow parts, even during daylight. Next one. unhinged aggressive sharpening and AI fake upscaling. Now, if spiral distortions are not present all the time, the overprocessed fake sharpening is a catastrophe and disaster. Look, I have a street photography video for Vivo, but I had a hard time to pick and choose good photos from automatic mode. I chose the best ones and tried to make it look as good as possible. But here, for example, look at this shot. What the heck is going on with these bokeh balls and background blur? At first, I could not understand what I was looking at, and it looks like it is in front of the flowers. But it is actually bokeh from the water inside the river, in the background. It looks like a total mess, like it is in front of the plants. Each ball has ugly sharpening applied, so busy and distorted. Oh here, look at the faces of people. It is daylight. Vivo, hello? What the freak? You supposed to fight the evil, but not become the part of it. Oh here, please pay attention. It is evening shot of statue. It is digital zoom. Why do I see mutilated scar across the half face instead of an eye? What is going on? AI, so-called enhancements for telephoto, are turned off, by the way. Imagine what a total garbage I will get if I will turn it on. If it is already looks like this shite. Oh here, I made a photo of street art. What is going on? Why it is so unnatural, fake, flat and looks like every part of it is drawn by pencil. Speaking about pencils, you can slightly fix all this in some occasions. Not all, but in most of them. By dragging the sharpness slider all the way to the -100. Yes, you heard it right. Not -33, not -50, and not even -80. You need to pull sharpness slider all the way down, completely. Otherwise, these distortions and pencil-like garbage will still be present on the shot. It is not a full solution, but a bandage on the open wound. What is the point of this sharpness slider if the only way to reduce it all the way? What if I want to set it to +100? Because on X100 Ultra, I'm not bound to it. I can easily increase sharpness, and surprise surprise, I will get exactly more sharp image. And decreasing it is just one of my options. Do not tell me that this is what your Vivo team looked to and said, good, this is what is the best and what average user will get out of the box as a default pre-customized state. What any of this has anything to do with Zeiss logo on the back? Is Zeiss now kids pencil drawn AI mess? And it is very, very important, because this stupid AI drawing and upscaling invents rough, muddy textures on the surfaces that were never in reality in the first place. Look here, very smooth stone on sculptures. Why the freak all the details are so thick and rough, like it was underlined by heavy thick pencil? What are all of those roughness and color inside on the wall? This surface in reality looks soft and smooth, without any of this shade. Next, I have noticed a problem with portraits. X200 Ultra has a lot better backlight and contrast control with glow and haze corrections. Images have a lot better contrast under the scenarios, and thus better details preservations. It is not physical aspect, it is not the coatings on the lenses, it is not better glass, but pure software bowling magic. But, as a result, I can see almost grid-like red, brown and black dots on the face. And for those who tell me that I zoom in 1000x times, lol, most of the time it is 1.5x, 2x, max 4x times. And I definitely can see everything I'm pointing out without any zooming in, as it is, just by opening it on my 16-inch laptop. I'm not even talking about 27 or 32-inch monitors. So any comments that no one is zooming in like this are not true and makes zero sense. Best camera phone with such level of hardware must have zero compromises, be reliable, and such level of problems are unacceptable in my opinion. What is going on with pores and dots on the face? It is too harsh and aggressive. In reality, Face does not have any of this. Some people asked me to talk about telephoto instability, but actually in my tests, Vivo has the best optical image stabilization, period. In Pro mode, I could make a sharp image on 85mm lens, even with 1 second exposure. The best results on the market. But maybe using side's shutter button gives a movement and shot. I do not recommend to use it. Put your elbows on your chest, exhale, and accurately press the digital shutter button on the screen. Set a timer to 1-2 seconds if you are still struggling. Alright, I think that I have told all the major problems. I want to talk about X100 Ultra and X200 Pro. First of all, is there any drastic difference between new large ultra-wide? Yes, kind of, but for the most part, not so much. Background separation depends on the size of the object in frame. It can definitely work with small to medium-sized objects and subjects, but very small object is another thing. New lens has noticeably shorter focus distance, and on X100 Ultra I can go closer to what I am capturing, making depth of field the same, if not blurrier. X100 Ultra does not have distortions, so it is a lot easier to use third-party apps such as Gcam, that has lots of modes from different developers. Also in automatic mode, I tried so hard to find any difference, and most of the time it is hard or impossible to spot it. And if I use Gcam on X100 Ultra, it makes the shot even better, with real textures instead of fake pencil drawn, that never exist in reality on the smooth surfaces, and I will always choose it over X200 Ultra any day of the week. Next, 35mm lens. To have similar field of view, you need to crop in 50% on X100 Ultra. Where does it matter? If you want to shoot RAW or SRAW, X200 Ultra will give you more real details and separation. That's it. In automatic modes, most of the time I had a hard time to spot any difference, even with half of the information cut down from X100 Ultra. And if I switch to Gcam, oh boy, the same situation. I will always choose X100 Ultra over X200. I made tons of examples and have a hard time to spot real, undeniable upsides in point-and-shoot scenarios. And we face a second problem. 35mm lens is very nice, but it can feel tight sometimes. And in situations where you cannot take a step back, for example near the road or on the edge of ancient quarry of the old civilizations that modern apes call canyons. Any step back or forward can lead to death or heavy injuries. In such situations, you can feel the need for more wide field of view, and the only solution will be crop in on the ultra-wide to use 23 or 28mm. And here X100 Ultra will still have a lead, because 23mm optical glass will provide more information and better separation if needed. But during daylight, it is not that huge problem for average user in my opinion. But it is give and take situation. If you do not know what it is like to shoot at 35mm, you can take your own phone right now, choose 1x and manually zoom in to 1.5x times. Make two shots, on 1x and on 1.5x, 23mm versus 35mm respectively. And you will see what is like. Try to shoot more on 1.5x times and see for yourself, is it too tight for you or not. Next, telephoto lens. Comparing to X100 Ultra, X200U has some new optical scheme, but I do not understand the benefits. X100 Ultra can focus closer. It is better for macro photo and video. To tell the truth, I enjoy X100 Ultra a lot more when it comes purely for photography. Now, lots of you, my friends, ask to compare it to X200 Pro. It is not an easy task, because I have sold it long ago, and it won't be one-to-one exact photos, but it still can provide some understanding and give examples. Ultra-wide lens. Just look overall to feelings of the shot, how details are drawn. "35mm S-RAW versus 23mm S-RAW. X200 Ultra has autofocus on selfie when X200 Pro does not. But it is still total garbage in automatic mode. Pure software problem that Vivo refuses to address year after year. Once again, it is not an easy task to compare two when I do not have it in hands. I have a dedicated Vivo X200 Pro first impressions that is called Best Midrange. Imagine being triggered by that name. And a video where I compare 1 inch on X100 Ultra with better glass versus small sensor on X200 Pro with more cheap glass, as well as differences in Origin OS 5 versus Origin OS 4. But X200 Ultra is just simply better than X200 Pro on hardware side with more sharp and clear glass, larger sensor on ultra-wide, autofocus on selfie, but software looks very similar. I'm not only a fan of Vivo's new approach and computation, I completely dislike it and have some suggestions how to improve it. First of all, you can have whatever AI garbage and morph-infused upscaled shit as much as you want. But please, for the universe's sake, make it a separate button. Give two options. Maybe it can be a button that transforms all camera app. First aspect will give fake computational AI stuff with pencil and paper that we can call robotic. Second aspect can be called natural, and by pressing it, all modes inside camera app will give more toned down image, without AI fusion and upscaled anything, without weird over-sharpening. Do not try to remove luma noise so much. Leave natural grain inside shadows, like Oppo smartphone does. And overall, speaking about noise reduction. Second, give me button that can control level of noise reduction, like you already have for sharpening, saturation and contrast. What is the problem with such absurd amount of useless smooth plastic image? Lots of photographers and videographers feel like adding grain on top of the already existing image, but you remove it even if it means destroying everything else. Third, what I like about X100 Ultra: control of the outcome, manual buttons and tweaks. You are on the wrong path by trying to automate what should never be automatic in the first place. Give me full control. For example, give me ability to tweak everything. Highlight recovery, shadow recovery, dehazing, curves, color wheels, color tones and gradients, like any raw editing software, Photoshop, Capture One, Lightroom have. But I want to do all this before I press the shutter, not after, when photo is already done. Give me ability to manually set how the phone will apply tweaks, edits and computations on the raw data to give me fully edited JPEG that I like out of the box. So people who do not want to bother and want everything to be done for them can use pre-customized Vivid and Zeiss natural profiles. And people who want full control can dial into this. There is literally no device on the market, not in smartphones, not in mirrorless cameras, who can do all this. Canon's Pictures Profile Creation tool does not do full raw data recovery. Panasonic Lumix cameras with real-time LUTs features does not do all this raw recovery. It is not the same as automatic full raw data recovery with my pre-customized settings. So there is zero competitors for you right now, both on the smartphone and mirrorless and DSLR market. Also, maybe 28mm instead of 35 will be a good middle ground and will make the lens smaller. As well as 70 or 75mm instead of 85. It will be way more versatile in my opinion, while still giving the room for crop, and will be noticeably lighter and smaller. Unfortunately, for the most part, I'm talking into the void ether, and we won't ever see such device in the future. I see all companies downgrading, removing features, physical aperture, automating everything for no reason whatsoever, and results getting more and more mediocre and fake. But who knows? If you agree with me, make Vivo to know about it. Silence won't help. Overall, even with all this whining from me, downgrades and questionable decisions from Vivo, I still think that it is a very versatile device that still gives an ability to tweak bunch of settings, from saturation and sharpness to HDR. That has the best video capabilities and best camera app. It can give lots of fun. It is one of the best camera phones on the market. I just cannot tell you without lying that it is the best. And definitely I cannot give it any crowns and call it the best camera phone. Did I enjoy this phone? To tell the truth, before it arrived to me, I thought about using it as my main, replacing X100 Ultra. But immediately after turning it on, listening to poor garbage cheap speakers, looking at the photo results, I thought that I won't replace my X100 Ultra. And can I recommend it to people? I want to say that more yes than no, but I cannot say anything more that I already told in this video. More salt on the open wounds is the problem of modern world. Fake artificial planetary so-called controlled inflation, and as a result prices increase. 1000 plus euros for a walkie-talkie, even high-end, is ridiculous. Only you to decide what to do with all this information. If you need a good smartphone with tons of features, heavily improved battery life, and one of the best pocketable point-and-shoot replacements, Vivo gives lots of food for thoughts and whitening of ups and downs. So my friends, that's it for today. I have more. A first impression video where I compare it with other smartphones. It is called Storm Before the Battle. And of course, street photo video that has video examples made on exactly this Vivo X200 Ultra. Hope to see you in the next videos. Have a very not fake day.